Hello and welcome back to the Lift Your Life podcast, and today we are joined with a super special guest, one of my good friends and colleagues, if we're going to say be professional about it, EVIE Dawson. How are we doing, Evie?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, thanks for asking. I'm good. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, just a quick introduction of who you are, what it is you do, and I should have pre-warned you on this one, but I always, when I get new guests on, like just a few fun facts that people who maybe do know you listen to this podcast might not know about you.
Ooh, okay. Hello, I am Evie Dawson. I am an online health and fitness coach, similar to Lucy. Fun facts. My actual name is Eveline, not Evie.
Oh, really?
Which, when I posted my graduation pictures the other day, everyone was like, oh, did not know that.
I didn't know that.
So, there you go. Fun fact of the day.
That's fun.
Not very good at parking. But everyone that knows me would know that anyway. Yeah, I think, oh God, I don't think I have that many fun facts.
Any secret hobbies, secret guilty pleasures, secret phobias?
I love coffee, but that's not really a secret.
I think everyone loves coffee.
Yeah. Secret phobia, spiders, hate spiders.
You won't cope in my house right now then?
You did that Facebook post, didn't you, about spiders?
Yeah.
I hate spiders.
Have you not seen on my Instagram the infestation I've got in my house?
Jesus Christ. I did cleaning. This is random. I did a cleaning job in lockdown and there was just spiders everywhere. And you know when you're like so scared, you're literally just cold, like shivering. Yeah. That's the fear levels I have for spiders.
Yeah, don't move into my house anytime soon, then you won't cope. Amazing. So, I want to go right back to when you first ever got into fitness. So for you, health, fitness, dieting, what is the origin of that for yourself?
So I think we had like a very similar, I know we've spoken about this, but just when you are young and you are first exposed to, I guess, societal pressures.
Yeah.
Probably I was like maybe like 12, like really young, just being so conscious of how I looked, really conscious, like hating how I looked, wanting to be skinny, getting told at school all the time that I had like thunder thighs, my thighs looked like tree trunks, just people being really unnecessarily nasty. They'd find photos from my dad's Facebook page of holidays when we were younger, when I was a little chubby kid, like I had a bit of, baby fat on me, a bit of puppy fat, and they'd call me a whale. They were just really, really horrible. And then from that point onwards, I think I kind of fell into a need to be skinny, like skinny. And everything was then revolved around getting thin thighs. That was like my only main concern really, was getting thin thighs, like having the thigh gap. I would pull my knees apart in every single photo to try and make my thighs look skinnier, which is interesting because that's the complete opposite to what I would do now. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where it started, like doing the thin thigh 30-day workouts, like the 30-day ab challenges, the trying not to eat so that you could create that illusion. But yeah, that's probably where it began.
Yeah, and obviously then it became, how old were you at the time when you were sort of doing those things?
Probably like 13. Okay, I want to say like 14 probably was when I was like deep in it. And I think at school, when you've got like friendship groups that are also deep in it, so you're all kind of encouraging each other, like, don't get lunch today, like let's all try and not have lunch. And then everyone's just trying to like almost in a bit of a discreet competition to be able to get those like skinny legs, which is really...
That's really toxic. That's really toxic. Wow.
When you think about it, yeah, pretty toxic.
Awful. So what really changed then? Did anything get worse from that? Did it improve? Because what was like the next step for you in terms of like the gym, training, nutrition for you?
Yeah, I ended up in a bit of a bad spot with food. I wouldn't necessarily call it like an eating disorder because it wasn't wasn't diagnosed or anything. I never went and saw a professional, but definitely on the lines of like disordered eating, in terms of like not eating throughout the day, then trying to stuff my face as soon as I got home with like chocolate, fizzy drinks, because then I could make it come up, as horrible as that sounds. And that didn't go on for too long, because luckily I kind of like, I think that's when the fitness influencers started coming out more, like weightlifting. So that's when people like Megan Grubb and Busy Bee Caris and like Lauren Simpson, that's when I started finding those people. So I'm lucky that it didn't escalate to the point of being horrible, but it was cool because they all had big legs and like bodies that kind of looked anatomically similar to mine. I was like, that doesn't look that bad? Like, why am I aiming for these skinny thighs that aren't fucking happening? Sorry, can I swear?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that aren't happening when I could build my body instead.
Amazing. And is that where it kind of changed for you in terms of you wanting to go down that route and actually start lifting? Is that where that began?
I think so. I bought all their home guides first. Like, I probably have like 18 PDFs on my phone of different guides. Did all the home like HIIT workouts. I do HIIT like 4 times a week. Don't know how I managed. But it was really fun because I wouldn't eat before doing the HIIT workouts because I thought it'd help me burn fat. But then I would get like faint during the workout, so I'd just eat sweets. So I wasn't really helping myself. But yeah, just the HIIT workouts to begin with. And then in like year 11, is year 11 a thing? Yeah, year 11.
Last year,
last year of school, yeah. That's when our gym had had a really smaller gym attached to it, kind of like as part of the leisure centre. And we started being able to go there in the PE lessons, purely because the PE teacher didn't want to teach us. So we just went to the gym instead.
Yeah.
Most of the girls would sit on the treadmill and they just chat with the teacher. I don't know if that's how your PE lessons were, but they were very lazy and everyone would just chit chat. But I really I started going towards like the weights and stuff, started doing things like squats because I don't know, I thought like if I can't achieve a skinny look, like I tried for 2-3 years at that point, if I can't achieve skinny thighs, no matter what I do, because like I've got bigger thighs genetically, then I may as well try and like create an illusion of a more different body. And I just like really did fall in love with it. It was purely leg days to begin with. Like I would literally do legs Monday, legs Tuesday, legs Wednesday, because they were the only days that the gym was open. But yeah, I think that's where the kind of transition to weightlifting did begin.
Amazing. Nothing's changed then. You still do legs pretty much every day then?
3 times a week.
Yeah. Fab. So then did you do sixth form or college at that point, or did you?
Yeah, then I went into college, which is sixth form. We just don't have sixth form in Wales for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. What did you study there? Was it like, did you think that maybe you wanted to start to study like PE and sports more at that point, or did you not really?
Yeah, so I'm from a very small town. When I say very small, I mean like think minuscule, North Wales, middle of nowhere, takes 20 minutes to get to Aldi, takes an hour and a half to get to McDonald's. Like we're far away from society. So A-level subjects were very limited. My college was like an hour bus drive away as it was, which was horrible. But I studied business, sociology and PE. I was the only sports student in the entire college. Wow. The only person that did an A-level in PE, and my teacher had never taught A-level PE before.
Brilliant.
So he kept phrasing it as, this is us learning together, which was great.
It's reassuring, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think that's when I started to really get into like the science behind exercise. I wanted to do an A-level in biology because I did initially want to pursue sports science at uni, and I needed a biology A-level for that, but the biology teacher told me I probably didn't have what it took because in fairness, like I wasn't good at biology. I just wanted to know about muscles and about nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, but I was terrible at biology. I hated it. But I think now when you become passionate about as part of biology, like I'm probably good at that, but like the rest, like plants and photosynthesis, it's like, no.
He was like, you'll be dissecting the frog. I was like, okay, moving on.
Maybe not then, maybe not. Cool. So in that year then, did that when you sort of had that realisation that actually you really started to become passionate when you were learning about it more for yourself and like the benefits rather than just doing it just for exercise?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was my first year of college. I went to a college that was different from most of my friends because I almost wanted a bit of like a fresh, clean break.
Yeah.
Especially like when girls are mean in school, like girls can be really, really fucking mean. And they probably don't realise they're being mean, but they're very nasty people, especially when they're together and kind of bouncing off each other against boys as well. When boys are in the picture, that's when the nails come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to go away from them, honestly. So I went to a different college than most of my friends so that I could have that fresh slate.
Sure.
And there was a gym quite nearby. It was probably like a 20-minute walk from the college. But that became my sanctuary because for the first time because like previously in school, I could only go to the gym for like that 30-minute, like 1 hour PE session. Now I could actually go to the gym like when I wanted to. So I could go after college, I could go before college. I went if I had a break at lunch. I became obsessed with it. I loved it so freaking much. Just being able to go, not having to gossip and chat shit in the common room, like, but just actually be able to go to the gym, do my thing, and then get back. It just felt amazing. I loved it so much.
Fab. And then uni, you did want to do like the sports science, but you couldn't. So then what was the next step for you? What did you decide to do and why?
So I actually did really well in my A-levels. I got an A in sports. So I kind of knew like, oh, this is something that I can actually excel in. Even I'm not very good at maths. I'm not very good at numbers. Like I'm really not. So sports science was kind of like, it's maths. It's all maths. It's all scientific. So someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone kind of suggested like, why don't you just do your own research and do a different degree? And I was like, that's an interesting point. So I went on to do marketing, purely because I was also quite good at business at A-levels, like didn't really know what else to do, wanted to leave my hometown. So did marketing, and then again, just kind of really threw myself into the gym when I got to uni, and continued to learn. Obviously, when you go to uni, you get access to all the resources. So I could do so much research. Like I was just looking at academic papers for like nutrition, for your metabolism, for your menstrual health, like all of that kind of good stuff that I could access now for free. Was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're using more of that than like, I'm using all these free resources rather than actually doing my degree, because you can actually access all like the different like, because they're really expensive to access. Like
they're like £200 a paper. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
So being able to access them all for free, download them all, as many as I wanted, was quite cool.
Amazing. So then what led you to get into like the coaching side of things? Where did that all come from?
So when I was in my first year of uni, or when I was actually like going into uni, I knew I wanted to do PTing. I knew I wanted to do that throughout uni. Again, did just kind of go to uni to get out of my hometown and to move away from home. After living with parents for a few years, you start to realise you need your own space.
You do.
And I needed space, so that's pretty much why I went to uni. So yeah, I knew I wanted to do PT, and knew the opportunities as at home weren't good. There wasn't any space for a PT really. So I started doing like guides and stuff. I've still got them on my laptop, but like the cover was like peach emojis, and it would be like their name, week 1 to 8 home workout plan. And it was literally just like a Google Doc with like different exercises, different nutrition, like how I would recommend them warming up and stuff. And people really like enjoyed those. People that I'd never spoken to before from home, friends of friends, bought them. And I was like, shit, like this is, people like are actually interested in what I have to say. I literally sold them for about £5 each, and they probably took me an hour to make for a £5 plan. So not the most profitable business plan in the world, but I enjoyed it, and that's what mattered to me, is like I had an impact on people and I got to do what I loved, which was I think that's what started the coaching journey.
Amazing. And how's it evolved? Because obviously like £5 guides to where you're at now are two completely different things. So how did that naturally like grow, and what help did you take to allow it to grow to where it is now?
So initially, I was doing those while I was still doing my PT course, because obviously you're not qualified, so I didn't feel like I was qualified to sell it for any more than that. Which again, probably a bit of imposter syndrome, because it's the same information regardless.
Exactly.
Then I did my PT qualifications in my first year of uni. I started online coaching for £50 a month. I'd had like coaches myself in the past. I'd had 2 coaches already, so I knew the process. I think that's one thing a lot of people neglect, is actually like getting a coach themselves before they start out. Which I think is very important, because otherwise how the fuck do you know what the standards are, what you want to deliver, what you don't want to use? Like, so many different elements.
And being on the receiving end as well. Like I think if you've been on the receiving end, you can understand and empathise more as well, and understand it from that perspective.
100%. Even just things like the importance of check-ins. Like if you've never had a coach before, but you're trying to coach, you won't realise just the importance of communication and having that person there. So yeah, just having that experience really told me that I did want to do that. Like I wanted to have that impact on people's lives that my coach had on me. I just thought it was so cool that like someone could do that. Someone could actually transform your life as their job. I thought that was sick. So then I started online coaching in my first year of uni. built it up very, very gradually. Obviously, like how I coach then is so different to how I would coach now. It was literally just, I think it was like a PDF and WhatsApp messaging for their check-in, and not really knowing what I was doing, having a passion, having a general understanding, but not like a very in-depth understanding as to what I was doing. But yeah, that's where it started. In terms of how it's grown, I think like the last 3 years I have put my all into this. So that's, it's not been a fast growth. I think everyone thinks that you start coaching and bam, you're a rich influencer in Bali. But like I was charging £50 a month, and that happened for like 6 months, and then maybe I increased it, I think, to like £100 a month, and that was another 6 months, and then gradually just built up my clientele and built up the pricing and stuff and what the service was. But yeah, very slow, very gradual progressions, really.
It is like any journey though, isn't it? It's not something that's going to happen like overnight. What have been like the big turning points for you then? What do you think within your, like, the business has allowed it to grow to where it is? Like, has it been certain things you've done, or do you think it is just like over time, that passion, word of mouth?
Yeah, I joined the OTE, which is the business mentorship that we were both in. So I joined that, which kind of changed the game for me, because I think I was just a very naive uni student who thought this could just be a little side hustle and it would just bring me, I was hoping for like, a few clients, maybe £500 a month just to keep me going throughout uni. But then, yeah, just joining them made me realise how capable I was and how much to the online world that was, how much you could actually achieve, what other coaches had actually been able to achieve, the freedom that you can achieve as well, not just finances, just like the impact that you can have. And yeah, I do honestly credit them for a lot of the growth, because I don't think I'd be in the same position without them. I think another thing that definitely helped was just building my own confidence and doing my own fitness photo shoot, having my own coach, going through my own different phases in my training, my nutrition, walking the walk, and just like, even like mental stuff, like getting therapy, doing a lot of work on myself mentally, because without those elements, I wouldn't be able to coach to the standard I do today. So yeah.
That's really interesting though, those last comments, because one thing that we're really big on in our business is the confidence side. So we do a very similar job, but we specialize in kind of different ways. So like yours is, you're very passionate about the science, the knowledge, and you're educating to a higher level, and you kind of coach people to a higher level as well. Like it isn't just 3 sets of 8 to 12. Like you're like, no. No.
Pet peeve.
You like to delve a lot deeper, and I see that from what you do. For us, we start with people who are a little bit more basic, a little bit, newer to the game, more so from the backgrounds of like, Slimming World, chronic dieting. And for us, it is about confidence, because what that allows you to do. So what you said there is amazing. So what do you think having those things has actually allowed you to do? So how do you show up differently now that you have done, your own struggles and challenges in your own fitness space and the therapy? Like what differences in a person do you feel you now have from those?
I wouldn't be here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here recording this podcast for sure. Wouldn't have driven here on my own. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I have done, like going to Dubai on my own, catching that flight. I know I met you there, obviously, but
we didn't know each other. That was scary enough.
Yeah, so many freaking things. Like if you met me 3 years ago, you wouldn't recognize her. She didn't have any confidence. She relied on everybody else's opinions. I took everyone else's opinions for fucking gospel. Drank a lot. I didn't even enjoy it. Like I'm not gonna say that I really enjoyed it and I've changed my life. Like I hated drinking. I just did it because, again, I wanted people to like me, and I had this really, really persistent need for everyone to like me, or at least for them not like me. And that's been a huge change for me, I think, because everything I used to do was for the opinions of others. And now I think you just kind of start living more authentically and more in line with what you actually care about. And that wouldn't be possible without like the mental and physical growth that I have gone through.
Yeah. So what are your values now? How do you live now in a way that is more aligned with who you want to be rather than who you think you should be for other people?
Definitely the ability to like stick up for myself a lot more.
Yeah.
Say when I feel like something's upset me or something isn't right, I'm a lot more, my dad would probably call it feisty. But yeah, honestly, like I always had those thoughts. I'm quite a feisty person deep down, but like in the past I would hide it and I would just kind of pretend that I was okay, smile, put on a brave face. Now I will say, if something's upset me, someone's hurt me, I will let them know. Because also I feel like I'm doing them a disservice if I don't let them know, because then they don't know what they've done wrong to impact me. What else? Values, I think, just a lot of like, a lot more just being in alignment with whom I am. So even just things like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. Because in the past, I used to have all these big goals, like probably the same goals that I have now, but I would say them, I would write them down, and then nothing would change. Right, like compared to now, that is very, very different, where if I say something, I'm going to do it, especially if I say something to, you know, my clients or to my partner. If I say that I'm going to do something, I will do it, because otherwise I break their trust and I break my own trust. So I think they're like big differences that have happened.
Do you feel freer as well, like in like just
100%. 100%. When you're always so thinking about everybody else's opinions, you're really constrained. Like you don't even know what your own thoughts are, because you're just so constantly consumed by everyone else. And like, I won't lie, like I do still struggle with that a little bit, especially like personality matching. I don't know if I think it's just a bit of an anxious person thing, potentially a bit of neurodiversity as well, but like I kind of try and match my personality to other people's. Don't know why, always have done. It's still something I'm working on, like just being myself and being who I am, not caring if they like me or not. But yeah, again, it's always a work in progress.
That's the one.
And it'll never be fully perfect, but I think just continual development is a huge value of mine.
I like that. So with the business growth, going back to that then, you are now a team of 3, which, well, you were a team of 3 a hell of a lot more before we were, which is amazing. So at what point did you realise that maybe this quote unquote side hustle that you had was actually something that probably beyond uni is going to be your full job? Like where was that realisation point for you?
I think it was probably in my second year of uni. My Instagram had blown up a little bit, not in a good way. I had a lot of bots follow me and a lot of creepy men, but I did also have a lot of applications come through. And I remember I was skiing on holiday with Ollie's family, and I had like 50 waiting list applications come through, and I was thinking, fucking hell, like I can't do that on my own alongside uni. I think I had about 40 clients at the time, and I was thinking I can't do another 50. You know, I'm doing a full-time degree. That's just it's not even possible for someone who's not doing a degree. Like it's an insane amount of clients to have 90. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hire someone. And I do think it was a little bit of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So the next right step seems to be to hire someone. Didn't know what I was doing while I was hiring Charlotte, who is our absolute amazing coach. Didn't know what I was doing. We made a lot of mistakes. Like I think we always both look back and look at it and go, what the hell, like what were we thinking? But yeah, made a lot of mistakes, but I knew, like, you deep down you get like a gut feeling like this is the right thing to do now. And I'm so glad I did, because otherwise I would not be here.
No, she's done amazing, and like, you know, you've watched her growth as well alongside you, and she's like such an integral part of the business. Yeah. And was it as well at that point you knew that was what you wanted to do continuously once that business started to grow, like once this degree's done? Like,
I think I knew that from the point I started my degree. Like it was always get through the degree so you can focus on the coaching. It's really funny actually, because obviously I graduated like less than a week ago, and one of my lecturers came up to me and asked, what's the plan after uni? Like, are you going to get a job? And I was like, oh, I have the business. Like, we've spoken about this. And he was like, yeah, but are you going to get a job as well? And I was like, this is my job. Like,
I think people don't realise like how much what you actually like earn and what you actually do. Because I think when people sometimes think, oh, you've done a bit of online coaching, like if you said on the side like, I've been doing my degree, I've been doing a bit of online coaching on the side. Well, I, from an outsider who didn't really know the ins and outs, would think, all right, she's probably got like, you know, 10, 15 clients, maybe a couple of grand at most. Maybe she does need to do something else. But it's only really because I know you, and maybe you've spoken about it to other people, how much you've actually done, which is just incredible. Like to have a business that big and a degree, and you did pretty good in it.
I'd like to think so.
You did all right in it as well. So how did you manage all that? Like from a time management, productivity, not wanting to jump out of a window because it's just so much going on. Like, how did you cope?
I think I'm a person that thrives under pressure.
Okay.
I love a bit of stress. I love a bit of chaos and a bit of maniac. I do think like that's where I tend to work my best.
Yeah.
And I know that because once I finished my degree and I just had the business, I started going a bit wacky because I was like, there's not enough for me to do. And that's when I start, like, my productivity, my mood, my energy all starts to dip.
Yeah.
So I work a lot better when I've got a lot going on. I like having a lot of different plates spinning. I think like the main things for me when doing both was just being very on it with like time management and pre-planning. So I'm not the most academically smart, but I will outwork everyone. And for every single essay, I would start it like 3 months ahead of everyone else. I would do 4 fucking drafts. Like, I would spend so long on each part of it so that I could get a good grade. But it meant that because I was doing it so far ahead, I had so much time to like break it up. And for me, that's a lot more manageable than like leaving it to the night before. I much prefer doing it in advance, making sure I've done first draft, second draft, third draft, so that it was done like and submitted a month before we'd even covered all the topics in the module. Like, I'll just do my own research, crack on, do my own thing, and make sure I got it done. So that's kind of how I manage the uni side of it. Yeah, I do just think like coffee, scheduling, making sure that my own training never slipped because that's important to me, and making sure that I still had time for relationships. It's challenging, but like it's so rewarding when it's what you care about. You'll do it.
There's probably people listening to this, probably not in the same position as you, because I don't know of anyone who is in that position. But there will be people who are juggling a lot of plates, whether it's with their own training, their own job. What's the biggest bit of advice you could give someone who maybe has got a lot of plates to spin but wants to have the balance of personal life, social life, relationships, maybe studying, maybe kids, but their own fitness endeavours? They want to do it all, but they just feel like they can't. How would you say manage that to the best of your ability?
I think you have to prioritise and be really on it with your prioritisation. And I've said this on my Instagram before, but like there were times where I didn't prioritise my degree. I didn't go to 90% of my lectures. I did a lot of self-study, but that's because I wanted to prioritise my coaching. And that was always like from day dot when I started the coaching, that was always going to be my first come, like my focus. And I always knew that if the degree was to slip a little bit, then it would be okay because like my business was my baby.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when it comes to like spinning a load of plates, you have to, every single week I did a brain dump with like, I split it into 4. So like uni, personal, like business or like coaching. And then the last one, I think social media. I can't remember, but it was something. And then I would like mark it 1, 2, and 3. So 1 was like top priorities, not letting that drift. And then 2 was like, okay, you can let that slip a little bit. So like if someone is trying to work, trying to do fitness, trying to look after their kids, trying to do X, Y, Z, if they properly analyze their week, they probably would say like, you've got a little bit of time here and there. Obviously, I'm not a parent, don't have that responsibility. So can't say that like I know or can empathize, like it's a completely different situation. But you know, I used to spend so much time on Instagram and on Netflix and stuff. And you can find small pickets of time, like even in the morning, if you are taking the kids to school, can you walk your kids to school instead? Really, really small lifestyle changes like that, which make your fitness goals a hell of a lot more manageable. And you can start to spin the plates, but just like through changing the methods, you're going to cook dinner for everyone anyway. So can we swap like one thing for another? Just making small incremental changes towards their fitness goals. Yeah, no, I like that. So with that as well, going back to the business, there was 2 of you. What was the decision or deciding factor to make it become 3? So I think you'd agree here, but we like as coaches, we always pride ourselves in our service, and the way I like to run Team EDC is like the coaches don't have a lot of clients. Like we don't have 80 clients each. We keep our numbers really, really small, like way below 50, because we want to be able to jump on a call with you if you're struggling. We want to be able to do your form video analysis by video and go really in depth. We want to be able to dive into all of these elements. So for us, like making sure our client numbers were low were really important. And yes, you could argue like that's not the most profitable model. Probably is not at all. Probably not the best way of running a business, but it's how
It's in alignment with you and the value you have as a business owner.
100%. So when Charlotte was like, I am starting to struggle for time, like I'm, we're taking on lots of new clients at the moment and I don't feel like I can set them up in the way that I want to. From that point onwards, it was like, okay, let's look for another coach. And I did already have someone in mind because Annie was a client of mine and Annie is absolutely amazing. I knew that she'd just finished uni herself, but was a PT and did want to kind of get into PT and coaching properly. So it's like, yep, you will do. No. So obviously like that was the kind of deciding point that we're like, okay, we're both struggling for time. We're both a bit pushed here. Let's not push it to the point that we physically can't take anyone on and we're so under pressure that our work quality starts to dip. Let's hire someone earlier so that we can manage that stress.
Amazing. How do you find being because obviously when you start it's just you and then the business grows and you have to learn how to manage that, but then you've had to learn to manage not one but two people. So what are like the biggest challenges you've actually found being like an owner and a manager as well that you've come into?
I think that really goes back to my need for people to like me.
Yeah.
That's something I really struggled with at the start, was like I wouldn't let them know if I wasn't happy with something because I didn't want to upset anyone. Like I wanted everyone to like me. I didn't want them to think I was a bad boss. So that played a huge role initially. And it was just learning to like be a good leader, I guess, and not just I'm not the type of person that'll tell someone off for something. Like I'd much rather have a sit down and chat. I'm not very confrontational. So kind of also like just being okay with having sometimes to be a bit confrontational and to put that fear aside. But more than that, like just communication, learning how to communicate with people, learning how to understand their communication styles, what they perceive as good, what they perceive as bad. Shout out to Layla Hormozy because her YouTube taught me so much on this. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge really is just communicating. Like when you're working with people, you'll know that yourself as a coach and as a business owner, but like learning how to talk to different people, how to make sure that they interpret the feedback well and not in a nasty way, because it's never in a spiteful way, but just in a way that we can all improve as a team. I think those elements were the most important for me.
Brilliant. And what do you see as the long-term vision then? Because like, I'm guessing you're saying you want to sort of sit in those lower numbers because you want to keep that high quality, which I really love, because I don't hear that unfortunately from many people. It's like, no, I'll just take on another 20, and
it's crazy.
I don't know how people do it. I do know how they do it. They just don't deliver as good a service, or they don't sleep, and like what good is that actually then? Like I don't understand that either. And I don't know about you with like this, well, it's fine, like I won't prioritize myself and I'll just completely put everything into the business. It's like, but you've got to lead from the front as well.
100%. Especially sorry, no, to cut you off, but when people are like, oh, my training doesn't matter right now, I'm like, but how can you tell your clients that time management and their training is important if you can't?
If they're missing their training sessions and you tell them they need to make it a priority, why aren't you making it a priority?
The double standards are very, very high in the fitness industry.
Yeah, and you're very clear on what your values and standards are, and that's been evident since I've met you, which I really love. Like from the first day I met you, and I was like, I didn't really know much about you, and I wanted to hear about your business. It's like, okay, she knows what she wants to do. She's got a very clear way of doing things, and that hasn't changed. So what do you see as like the long-term vision now that you're actually fully able to go the first time now go completely all in over like the last few months, that no degree? What do you plan for the business? Like what would be the absolute dream 5-10 years down the line?
You know what? It's not really something I think about. I know that's probably a really bad thing to say.
No.
I'm a lot more process driven than goal driven. So I speak about this with my therapist a lot, but like money doesn't interest me. I'm not financially driven. I wish I kind of was, because obviously then you'd have something to work towards, but it doesn't interest me. I'm not materialistic. But
then it means you're doing it for the right reasons, and that's always a benefit for sure.
Very true. I'm really process driven. So like I love doing the day-to-day stuff. Even just like short-term goals. So like we've got a new team education portal.
I've seen that, looks really good.
Thank you. That's launching on the 1st of August. So like that's getting me so excited right now. We've got photo shoots coming up. The girls don't know it yet, but we're going to do like a Christmas kind of like meet up and have a nice little party and stuff. And I think, just building the best community and the best service that I ever possibly could is the goal. I think from like when I started coaching, the goal was always to meet that kind of like more science-based bodybuilder, like have to prep for shows, and then versus like the HIIT workouts like Slimming World, meet that in the middle, and to bring the evidence into like Gen Pop clients and to ensure that they're doing things in the right way. Because when I've had coaches in the past, just for myself, like sleep isn't thought about, menstrual cycles aren't thought about, stress management, your holistic health, none of that is taken into consideration. It's just the training and nutrition. So that's a really big priority for me, is to get like that, make sure everyone that enters the coaching leaves so much more knowledgeable than they started off, but also like they've built skills for life. So yeah, I think that's the vision really. Obviously I would love to have a team of more and more women helping more and more people. I would eventually love, I don't think I've ever said this before, but I would eventually love to run things like courses, workshops. It's always been a dream of mine to do that kind of thing, even in person, like teach people that are really ambitious, like how to be better, how to be the best versions of themselves. So yeah, that's where I want to go.
Amazing. So do you almost maybe see, because some people have this vision, and this is kind of maybe where I see, I don't really know, having that team of coaches, and me personally taking a bit, because I'm still quite high client numbers, and taking a bit more a step down to take a leadership role to really help my coaches be amazing coaches to help their clients. Is that something you see yourself doing, or do you still you will always see yourself coaching a lot of decent amount of people because you love the coaching as well? Because I don't think I could stop coaching completely.
No, I absolutely love coaching. I am quite like a natural teacher. I love teaching. So I do love working, like at the moment, my client base myself is mainly coaches. I love teaching people. I love like drilling information into people's heads. So I think that's probably where I'd like to go, is to continue to educate. And, you know, as you said, like make sure my coaches are the best coaches they could possibly be. But yeah, I guess kind of similar to yourself, I don't want to get rid of my clients ever. I will always continue to coach. I think you need to just like keep your head in the game.
I think it's also that same thing of like, how can you make people better coaches if you're not implementing those things as well? And yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, a huge thank you for coming on, Evie. However, because you are a guest, you are the first time you've been a guest on the podcast, I have not asked you the signature podcast question, which everyone gets asked. Ooh. And that is, see, most people finish on their signature podcast questions like a really deep one, like, so what do you think the meaning of life is and stuff. Mine's not that. Mine is, what is your favourite cereal?
Ooh. Oh, you know, it depends on the day. Is it like, when you say cereal, do you mean like breakfast or like just genuine cereal?
Well, I don't really know what the difference is there.
Like, do you mean like breakfast choices like oats or like cereal?
Oh, no, cereal, like as in the box.
Golden Nuggets.
Great choice.
Straight up, Golden Nuggets.
Oh, Golden Nuggets then. You get the nod of approval for that one.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, we're not going to end on a fallout, so that's fantastic. For people who've listened to this, maybe inspired by your story, want to find out more about you, what it is you do, where can people find you on social media?
My Instagram, which is at EVIE Team EDC, or my podcast, which is Evolve with Evie on Spotify.
Amazing. Well, a huge thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
And thank you for everyone for listening, and I'll catch you on next week's episode.